Okay. So we're starting with Masechta Pesachim. Masechta Pesachim is it's a very basic, fairly easy Masechta, unlike Eruvin, which we just finished, which is very, very hard. Most of the Masechtas get practical halacha. It's a very halachic based Masechta. So we're going to start the first Mishnah, that's based on Aleph. The first Mishnah is the first few Amudim. Actually, it's more of a Gadata Gemara. It's not actually Gemara, which is based. It's halachic. Halacha Gemara, because we're discussing what does mean, what does light mean, because the Mishnah starts off saying la ba'asar. So we're basically going to have an amud to going into different details and different psukim. So don't get put up by the first amud. It's the amud is it's not a hard amud, just it's not a irregular piece of Gemara. So that's the Mishnah that's based on la ba'asar. On the night of the 14th of Nisan. This is according to Maskana. The Maskana Gemara is going to tell us that means the night. But the Mishnah says the night of the 14th of Nisan, we check the chametz by candlelight. Where do you have to check chametz? Call makim. Any place that you don't usually bring in chametz. You do not need to check for chametz. Yeah, the Gemara is going to, Rashi says, and Tessa says, that the reason why we have to check chametz is because we're scared that the Gemara is going to speak about that length, where basically the idea is that we're scared you're going to find chametz on Pesach, and you're going to want to eat it. So Chacham made a takana that you cannot check. You have to make sure your house is free of chametz. So the Mishnah says, where do you have to check chametz? If the problem is that there's a chash you're going to find chametz, so it's only a place that you bring in chametz, but in a place that you don't bring in chametz, you don't have to check. So the Mishnah says, so if we just said now that a place that you don't bring in chametz, you don't have to check for chametz, so we're going to see the next Mishnah speaks about different dinim, of if you have a storage house of barrels of either wine or oil, different types of liquids, then how many barrels do you have to check for chametz? So the Gemara says, the Mishnah is asking, if you have a cellar of barrels of liquid, there's no chametz over this. Why do we have to check chametz? So the Mishnah is asking, in what case do they speak about that you have to check shtei shuras by ma'atif? If you have a cellar of wine, you have to check 2 rows of barrels. So the Mishnah answers, that's speaking about a type of cellar that you bring in chametz. Meaning, there's different types of the Gemara is going to speak about it soon. There's different types of storage places. Some storage places you do bring in chametz. Some storage places you don't bring chametz. So there's no contradiction between what we just said now that you only have to check in a place that you bring in chametz, because we're speaking about the next Mishnah is going to speak about a type of cellar that you usually bring in chametz. It's an introduction to the next Mishnah. Which, if you have a cellar, how much you have to check all the barrels of wine? Do you have to check only a few of them? So the machlekes Tanaim between Risham and Yisrael. I'm not going to explain it now because the Gemara is going to explain it at length. So we're just going to read through it. Risham says shtei shuris apnei kolim. Right, if you have to check 2 rows of barrels of wine. So you only have to check the top 2 lines. We're not going to explain it now because there's going to be a whole piece of Gemara about this. Okay, so now the Gemara is going to go in depth, asking. We start off the Mishnah with the terminology of la ba'asar. So we know we touch usually means light, right? So what does la ba'asar mean? Says the Gemara, what does mean? What does it mean? The light of of the 14th. What does that mean? Does it mean the day by day? Does it mean by night? Says the Gemara. Rabbi says Nagi. Means light or a luminary, a mar, the source of light. And if Yehuda says Leile, it means night. So we basically have a basic machlokes: does mean day or does mean night? Which is obviously enough for me in the halacha. When will we have to check chametz? Do we have to check chametz by day or do we have to check chametz by night? Says the Gemara, we were the original thought of what this machlokes was. Either means day or means night. We thought it means the man that Amar Nagi, the one who said day Nagi Mamish. He means by day, meaning when the star is getting light. That's when you have to check chametz. The man Amar Leile, and the one who says by night Leile Mamish means that according to the second opinion of Yehuda says that means night, so you have to check it by night. So if so, we're going to ask how much questions. If you're going to say that's the chat and the machlekes, we're going to have how much questions. We're going to bring psukim that prove this rock. So now we're going to ask on the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda that O means night. How can you say O means night? We're asking Rabbi Yehuda a question from a pasuk. It says in the pasuk, it's a pasuk in Sefer Bereshis. It says that the day came, the day was shining, and Nashim Shulchan. Alma Yimama, he says clear in pasuk that the day is light. So from here we see that the Torah makes a connection between day and light. So if so, how can you say that means night? So that's a question. Yehuda says that means night. Everything the Gemara answers miksiv ha'od. If Torah was telling you that day means light, that when we say in Torah means in the morning, so Torah should have said ha'od the light is day. So what does it say in pasuk? It says the other way around. Haboker oiksiv. So what does it mean? Haboker the day is light. It means command amat safron nahar. So light in Lashon HaKodesh can mean different things, which is I get the rest of the argument. Light can mean light, as in shine, something shining. Light can also mean arose. Like we're going to say, we just said now, safron nahar, the day arose. It doesn't mean that the day, when we say light in Torah means day. Light is also a terminology of arose, the day. The sun rose, so we say Hashemesh hey, the sun rose, the sun is shining. So when Torah said Haboker, it didn't mean that whenever it says in Torah it means day. It just meant to say that the day, the morning arose. Because Rabbi Yehuda Amarav, and this is Negel Allah also, because we know that it says that Rabbi Yehuda said the name of Rav. The Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amarav, La'olam Yikanis Adam B'Kitayv, V'Yetz Adam B'Kitayv. He learns out. The Gemara is connecting this to a different, a random din when a person goes on a journey. So Yehuda says la'olam yikanis adam b'kitayv v'yetz b'kitayv. A person should always arrive at his destination if he's going on a journey in the day. Kitayv, it goes on. It says in Torah that Hashem saw that the light was good. So kitayv is terminology for light. So he said la'ila for day. So a person should always arrive at his destination by day. But meaning a person should go out by night. So here we see that we don't have from the story of Yosef, with the pasuk of we just brought before Haboker Yosef, that Yosef, they waited when the brothers of Yosef went out, they waited until day in order to go. So in other words, day and light doesn't have to have a direct connection from each other. It could be, as when Torah says, it can mean night also. There's not a direction. If Torah is trying to tell you, just because the Torah uses terminology that the day, the terminology of and Baker, doesn't mean that the Torah is calling, the Torah is telling you every time I'm going to say it means day. Because could also mean arose. So therefore, don't bring a proof from there. That was one question we asked from Yehuda. Another question we asked from Yehuda, Mesvei, another pasuk it says in the pasuk in Shmuel, Ka'or means just like the sun, just like the day is light, so the sun arises then also. Alma he's a clear pasuk that says that the day is light. So if so, how can you say day means night? So everything the Gemara answers miksiv does it say in pasuk that light is day? It says with a kaf adimian, meaning the Torah is not telling you that the light is day. Torah is telling you the day is like light. What does that mean? Just like when the sun starts rising nowadays, in the morning when the day comes, it's bright. So too, when Mashiach comes for tzaddikim, it's going to be bright. I mean, they're going to have a lot of elam hab. But the idea is that the Torah is bringing out a concept of just like by day is light. It doesn't mean that whenever we say we mean day. Mesvei, another question says in pasuk of Yikra Lakim, pasuk it says a clear pasuk that Hashem called to the light, Yom day alma yimami. Here we see that day means light. This is probably the strongest question you asked in Tanna. We see clear in Torah that Torah is telling you that whenever he's saying whenever Torah is not going to mention it means day, because it said the Eibishter called game. So how does it Yehuda says that means night deal with this clear pasuk that says Yom means Yom? So everything about it, Hachikama. This is what the pasuk is teaching us. Lameir uba kara Yom. Torah is not saying that light means day. Torah is using the terminology of to teach us the idea of arising, like I said before. That could also mean shining, meaning it's coming. A new day is coming. So Torah says when you have a mitzvah, when you have a time where there's a new arising, that we're going to call day. But it doesn't mean that your always means day. The concept of can mean, if you're touching not as in the concept of arising, the concept of as in light. So light also means night. We can explain that what that means soon. Says the Gemara, another question. If you're going to tell me that when Torah said Torah called Yom, Torah didn't mean that the day is light. Torah meant that when a new arising starts happening, that's what we're going to call day. So how do you tie it to the rest of the pasuk? It says like Vayikra the Kim Yom. He called the day light. When we're touching over day, doesn't mean day. Day means the rising of the day. But the pasuk continues and says that the Eibishter called night, the Eibishter called darkness night. So what does it mean night? If we're touching day, mean the rising of the day. So by night, doesn't mean darkness as in literal darkness. It means the arising of darkness. It means when it starts to get dark. So when does it start to get dark? If we're saying that this pasuk doesn't mean darkness in its sense of darkness, it means that when the darkness starts arising. So when does it start to get dark? By Shkia, not by Tzeisak Chachamim. What came on that Tzeisak Chachamim? In Allah we know that the day goes until Tzeisak Chachamim. So if you tell me that the Eibishter called darkness night, darkness, when does it start getting dark? Again, we're taking things out of context over here. Until now, we're told in Torah we've been learning means light and Cheshach means darkness. We're giving a new pshat in doesn't mean light as in light. Means arising, when something arises. So darkness also doesn't mean darkness. Now means when the darkness arises. The darkness arises ready by Shkia. So if so, api halacha, when should the night, the halachic category of night should be from Shkia, and we know that that night is starts getting night by Tzedek Chav. Ella hafikamas. One has to go back, find a new pshat. We can't say that means arising and darkness means the rising of the darkness, because that doesn't work with other sources we have. That it only gets dark when it says Chav. So Allah hafikamas. When the pasuk says the Eibishter called day, Kadyo Rachmal Lenahira upakte a mitzvasa diyumama. Kadyo Rachmal Lachashecha upakte a mitzvasa the light. It means like this: that the Eibishter called light, which is the creation, the concept of light that the Eibishter created. The Eibishter told him that he should work. He asked him, in other words, pakte Kadyo Rachmal Lenahira. The Eibishter called the creation of light. And he told the creation of light to work by day. And the Eibishter called the concept of darkness and and he told him to work by night. So from here we see that light and day are two different concepts. It happens to be that by day it's light. Whatever. We're not going to get into there's a whole discussion about this. What does it mean exactly? But the Gemara's idea is that day doesn't have to have a direct connection with light. There could be a Metzias when Torah says and it means night also. It says in Torah the Eibishter called day light. It means that the Eibishter told light to serve by day. It doesn't mean that now every time Torah is going to say it means day. Meisvei, we're asking another question. Now we're asking the question the opinion that says means light. So now we're asking on the opinion that said means darkness. Now we're saying the means night. Now we're asking the fakir the opinion that means light. Means day. Again, this is Nagel Halacha because the Mishnah didn't tell us when we have to check comments. The Mishnah just said if I touch means day, it means on Yud Daled this and by day, by when it starts getting there, I have to start trying comments. But if I say means night, which we pass like we explain that means soon, then when we check comments, not on the 14th by day, but the night of the 14th. That's what we do nowadays. We check chametz by night. Meisvei says in pasuk, if you're going to tell me means light, means day. Meisvei says in pasuk in Tehillim, which we read every single day. Halalu kol keichvi says in the pasuk in Tehillim, the last capital in Tehillim, that all keichvi all the stars that are light should praise the Eibishter. Alma urtahu. From here we see that is night. Why? Because keichve, we're speaking about stars. Stars come out by night. So from here we see that keichve means the stars of the night, and we say that they should praise the Eibishter. So if you can tell me means every time Torah means means day, stars don't come out by day, stars come out by night. So keichve means the stars of the night. So could also mean night. So the Gemara, no. Obviously, we don't mean that the stars are coming out by day. Keichve doesn't mean that the stars are coming out by day or night. All the stars that shine, means shine, they should praise the Eibishter. So again, the question was, we thought that keichve means the stars of the night, which would be a contradiction. It means means day. And the answer is, we're not speaking at the time the stars come out. Keichve are the stars that shine. Doesn't mean light, as in by day. Means the stars themselves shine. Says the Gemara, if so, Elo mi'ata kechavna ha'me'ilim u'dabar shabuchi she'ein me'ilim lo'ibay shabuchi v'aksiv halalu kol tzvav. Why does the Torah specify dafka the stars that shine that they should praise the Eibishter? It says in a second later, halalu kol tzvav. All the creations, the heavenly creations, I mean the stars, the moon, and all these things should praise the Eibishter. So why did the Torah specify dafka the stars that shine? What's in again the stars that shine? Ella how kamash mulam. So the Gemara's answer is that the pasuk is teaching you something. That which the pasuk doesn't tell you that all the stars should bless the Eibishter. The pasuk is telling you that all the light, the pasuk is telling you that the stars that shine is to teach you something. What does it teach you? The kechavim nami oivu. It's telling you that the light that comes out of the stars also has a halachic qualification as light. What does that mean? What do we care if the stars if you have a rays of a star, if it's counted as light or not? What do we care if what halachic difference does it make if the light is counted as light or not? The neder mean someone who makes a neder that he's not going to have. He makes a covenant. He makes a promise. He's not going to have any benefit from light, any light. So if you say the light that comes out the stars is counted as light, he would also be usher to have benefit from the stars. The Tanya, because we learned in Brisa, someone who makes a neder and he's not going to have any hana from light, but he is also even to have hana from the light that comes out of the stars. Okay, we're going to stop over here based on Aleph. Just this is the first Amud. There's a lot of explanations over here, but the Gemara is going to speak about at length about chametz and why we have to check for chametz. And there's a big machlokes of Rashi and Tosfos over here, which we're going to get into in the further Amudim. We're not going to mention them now. We're going to get into the further Amud. So Maskana Gemara didn't get there yet, but Maskana Gemara obviously is that actually doesn't mean in our context day. Means night, and that's why we check chametz by night. And the reason why we check chametz is the Maskana Gemara is to make sure that we don't find chametz on Pesach and have a temptation to eat the chametz on Pesach. So we're going to stop over here. Beis Amud Aleph. It's the last line of the Gemara. Meisvei. Have a good night.